motion on need to expand the practice of agriculture to include the science of aquaculture, standing in the name of Honorable Awaji, Abiante, and two other honorable members. Honorable Abiante is now invited to move the motion.
Dagomie, Abiante. I represent Andoni, Opobo, Nkoro Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, I rise to move the motion on the need to expand the practice of agriculture to include the science of aquaculture. This motion is standing in the name of Awaji Inombek, Abiante, Honorable Doye Diri, and Honorable Randolph Brown. The House notes that agriculture is the main base of human life, as daily living, directly or indirectly, depends on agriculture, which results in the provision of food, fuel, furniture, raw materials for factories, and flood control. The House also observes with concern that Nigeria has failed to make transition from the traditional definition of agriculture, and as a result, not kept pace with the growth and transformation of the agriculture value chain to leverage on the many opportunities inherent, particularly in aquaculture. The House is aware that the volume of global trade in aquaculture value chain is in excess of $200 billion, and that fisheries departments in the top 10 leading aquaculture countries have created exclusive entities for fisheries or autonomous bureau of fisheries in their respective ministries. They are convinced that Nigeria can set an ambitious goal of becoming a leading country in aquaculture, specifically in the productive development of its coastal marine environment, by taking a more serious interest in the development of its aquaculture sector and providing equitable funding. The House, cognizant of the need to provide incentives to the estimated 1 million indigenous artisanal fishermen and small-scale fish farmers using old equipment and outdated practices, and scale them up into a diverse set of industrial fisheries practices using modern technologies for the growth and sustainability of aquaculture. The House is also aware that with a coastline of more than 850 kilometers and numerous rivers, including West Africa's two largest canals and tributaries, Nigeria has huge geographic potential for aquaculture. The House appreciates that Nigeria is blessed with a large resource base of waterways spanning about 10,000 kilometers, and that 28 of the nation's 36 states can be accessed through water, an ideal situation for large-scale fisheries development of diverse marine fish species. The House is therefore urged to resolve as follows. Urge the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to include the science of aquaculture in the practice of agriculture, to govern the fisheries and aquaculture sector, to majorly formulate plans, strategies, policies, and programs for fisheries development, to guide fisheries economic reform, to implement and monitor fisheries laws, regulations, and international to bilateral fisheries agreements. 2, mandate the committees on agricultural production and services and legislative compliance to ensure compliance and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Nigeria has remained for too long a one-product economy, that is oil. Once the oil industry sneezes, the economy of Nigeria catches cold. Mr. Speaker, this is another opportunity to expand this economy that has been bedeviled by so much problems. And agriculture is one such place. Agriculture is one such sector. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, we have done so much in the areas of crop production. We have done so much in the area of livestock. We provide improve seedlings for the farmers. We provide inputs for the farmers. We give them tractors. We even get involved with development of the rural environment to aid the practice of farming, the practice of crop production. We are also concerned with the issues of the headers. There are improved breeds for headers. The veterinary section is always encouraged to provide services for the livestock farmers. Mr. Speaker, even the Anchor Growers Program is also concentrated in these areas. It's non-inclusive. Mr. Speaker, if we want to achieve so much from this sector, one way to look at is the fisheries and aquaculture sector in the industry. This sector globally provides a base of about $200 billion. $200 billion, Mr. Speaker, is in the neighborhood of 72 trillion naira. Nigeria has a coastline of about 850 or 853 kilometers coastline. We have water bodies spanning about 10,000 kilometers from River Niger, River Benue, all the creeks, all the tributaries down to the ocean. We celebrate the Arugungu Fishing Festival, and that is where it ends. The issues of the Lake Chad, where you have enormous fishermen, are not considered. If you go to the areas of Lokoja, Kotonkarefe, you have fishermen who reside in these areas and who take this as their own occupation. What has government done for them to develop that sector? Absolutely nothing. Mr. Speaker, we're only calling attention so that government will have specific plans, specific programs that will include the fishing community. If we do this, and we are able to engage and take just 5% of the global trade volume, 5% of the global trade volume will be amounting to about 3.6 trillion naira thereabout. And that is almost the equivalent of what we get from the oil industry annually. Even with the associated issues of pollution, associated issues of security, associated claims of neglect by the host communities. If we can only develop the fisheries industry, we will have an alternative source of funding. Even if we're not able to develop the industry to the point of export, as we speak, Nigeria imports fish worth well over $800 million annually. $800 million, Mr. Speaker, is in the neighborhood of 300 billion naira. If we can conserve that and deploy it to the provision of infrastructure, it will go a long way. Mr. Speaker, the top 10 countries that have developed this subsector have created for themselves distinct and independent identities. We may ask ourselves, what is in a name? Names are equally important. If you say Tom and Jerry, it simply means that there is a Tom and there is a Jerry. But what we have here is Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. No attention is paid to the fisheries subsector, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, I want us to consider this motion as being important at this time. Important because it will generate enormous discourse. Enormous discourse for us to look at. Enormous discourse for us to engage with. Enormous discourse to allow even those who are aspiring to relate with us, remember and take cognizance that we have about 1 million fishermen out there who require assistance, who require support to grow their industry and to be a lot more independent, Mr. Speaker. If we can only do this, if we can only grant attention to the fishing environment, we will not have some of the challenges that we have had in areas of security, beginning from the Lake Chad region up to the Niger Delta environment. Mr. Speaker, even if you approach the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, seeking for intervention in the areas that have only fishermen, nothing is done. They don't have ordinary boreholes. They don't have access roads to their environment. They don't have any attention. I therefore would urge my colleagues to support this motion and let it serve as a stepping stone to the greatness that fisheries and aquaculture portends for Nigeria. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's my submission.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it.